From SCNR, Harris VP pick Tim Walz excoriated over socialist and far-left positions. Criticisms of his past policies have resurfaced after Harris announced the Minnesota governor would be her running mate. Okay, look, he's the George Floyd riots governor. He's an admitted socialist.
But we can get out there, reach out, make the case. And for one thing, don't ever shy away from our progressive values. One person's socialism is another person's neighborliness.
He's an admitted socialist, and let's see.
But it's neighborliness.
It's neighborly.
He's far left on abortion. He's far left on what he wants 16-year-olds to vote. I kind of feel like they chose him because they want to lose.
I think they
I hope you're right.
I think they chose him because they want white politicians to act like him. I think they want them to go from being somewhat moderate to being extremely progressive. They think progressive is the only way forward for America because they want the destruction.
Well, Kamala is going to be the fall girl, right? Joe Biden was on his way down and out. And so something happened behind closed doors. We don't know the truth of what has taken place thus far. No one's speaking about it. No one's talking about it. For a while, we couldn't even find President Biden. But it seems as if he was getting ready to be smashed, Biden, and it's like playing football, and you pitch the ball to someone else to make sure that you don't get hit so that someone else gets sacked. And I think that Kamala Harris is soon to be sacked, and they selected Tim Walz to push her agenda as well, but they're both going down. And I do believe that in 2028, you'll see the resurrection of the Obamas and Michelle Obama. They wanted a clean slate this time because they don't think that they can compete with President Trump. So therefore, they just pitched the ball to someone else to lose.
So do you think that Michelle Obama wants to run for president?
I think that she does.
Really?
Yeah.
I've always thought she didn't because she sort of she hasn't tried to get elected on the state level or anywhere else. That's what Hillary Clinton did.
Well, it's not necessary for her to have to do so. You know, her husband was a professional campaign manager, pretty much. You know, he was an activist. He mobilized people in a local community. There are many people, for some reason or another, who love her and they like her. And I watched the response of the Obamas when Kamala Harris was tapped. There was utter silence. The last person to cash in their vote and support towards Kamala was the Obamas.
Right. Well, there were rumors that Obama went to Biden and said Kamala Harris is going to 25th Amendment you if you don't get out of the way and endorse her. And that part of the deal, I don't know if this is true, this is just a rumor, and that part of the deal was that the Obamas would not endorse Kamala right away. They wanted to make it look more legit.
I had heard reporting, I don't know what 25th Amendment thing, but I had heard reporting that Obama was expected, because the media noticed immediately that the Obamas hadn't signed up. The Clintons had fallen in line, everyone was all excited.
Soros.
And Obama's hadn't, and I had seen this report to go out, well, they're just waiting for Joe Biden to have his moment, and Kamala, and they're going to wait a couple weeks, and by the next day they had endorsed her. So it does make me think there are some kind of calling in of favors happening behind the scenes.
Yeah, something sinister is going on. There's a plot. We don't quite understand it all. I believe that things will come to a head soon. I believe that Kamala Harris will lose, and then she'll begin to leak and say what's really going on and talk about it and share it. She might write a book or a memoir.
Oh, she might love that.
Oh, yeah, we'll find out everything.
I think Tim Walz gives Tim's a bad name.
I think you're right.
You know, people are saying tampon Tim, turncoat Tim, and I'm like, hey, whoa.
Don't bring me into this.
You know, Tim's not a bad name. Don't blame Tim. Blame Tim Walz.
That's right.
Say Wacky Waltz. How about that one?
There's also reports out that in Minnesota, because the abortion laws are so extreme, like you were talking about, that there were 8 babies born as part of like abortions and then left to die.
Yeah.
That they were born alive.
Yeah, I hear that happens
in 2021 during failed abortions, and none of them were provided any care to save their lives. They were just left to die.
Wow.
I don't doubt it. And that, for the life of me, I don't understand why someone like Kamala Harris, knowing that blacks, we're not even meeting replacement numbers. It takes 2.1% of births for a population to replace themselves.
And isn't it like 34% of abortions in the U.S. are performed on black mothers?
It's true. It's even higher than that at times. Blacks make up 13% of the overall population in the U.S. Black men account for 5%. Black women account for 8%. Of the ovulating black women, they account for nearly 2 to 3% of the overall female population, but they account for nearly 38 to sometimes 40% of the overall abortions.
That's crazy.
So there's a such thing called black genocide. That's a term taken from Reverend Jesse Jackson. But Jesse Jackson, when it came time for him to run and be a Democrat president, he sold his community down a river, and he would no longer call it black genocide. And so according to Reverend Clenard Childress, by 2038, the black population rate will be at the level of Native Americans.
Oh, that's horrifying.
And so what we're witnessing right now is the self-destruction of a community while the National Black Congress supports it, while the NAACP supports it, and while many of your black activists say nothing about it. Mm-hmm. And so in the black community right now, people are looking at Kamala and saying, we don't identify with you because at the end of the day, you've offered us nothing. She's been relatively mute over the past 3.5 years. She's done nothing. And Barack Obama did nothing to better the black community. When she was asked what she was going to do for the black community, she couldn't name a thing. When it came time to talk about the asylum seekers and the newcomers and the dreamers and the criminal illegal aliens, she could give you a litany of things that she would do. People see what's going on, and the support that she thinks she has, she's not going to have amongst many minorities this time around.
Let's also add to the story Tim Walz establishing his snitch line for COVID mandate violators. This is from the post-millennial.
There you go.
Millennial.
Close millennial.
Post-millennial. I'll make that website. That was basically it. He set up a snitch line for people violating COVID rules. Mm-hmm. This is the perfect example of what they represent. They long for Chinese communist-style governance. This is why they choose someone like Tim Walz. And I have to wonder if the reality is maybe the reason Kamala Harris has become the default nominee because the deep state actually has finally lost control. I'm not saying I know for sure. I'm just saying maybe. So they picked Tim Walz, not because it makes sense, but because whatever was left of the liberal economic order trying to maintain some control has lost. And now you literally just have the far left having come in and taken over. So now it's Chinese communist style governance. Bring in the guy who's going to lock people down and snitch on your neighbors, give no policy positions, appointed by party, and that's all they have to offer.
I think it also makes sense that because Kamala was the more progressive wing of the Biden ticket, that if that's where they're starting now, they're going to look farther left, right? This is the drift they are hoping for, farther and farther down their worldview. In fact, I think there's probably no one objective in the room who can say, hey, maybe this is not the guy. Maybe we should actually appeal to moderates. Like, they can only see him through the lens of identity. They see him as a white guy who's from a more rural state. So, of course, obviously, all farmers in America are suddenly going to fall in love with this guy. And I just don't think that's true. I think that they are lost by their own framework. It's distorting their perception of this.
Mm-hmm. I think that's right.
I honestly think they should have picked Andy Bashir in Kentucky because, again, it would be a similar argument that they're making, that he's from a southern state that's all red, that potentially could have some kind of like emergence of blue influence, that it's closer to this like Appalachia demographic that Vance is trying to pull, but also he's an active Christian, he has young children, and instead I think they are just looking for everything through the lens of like older white male who won't make Kamala look too old and who has drifted more progressive, which they hope will make it seem okay that that's the way they want to take the country.
You know, I have to wonder if it's an impossible future to predict, but it is worrying. Maybe the reality is most people don't actually fall for this. It's just the system is rigged.
They say that, like I said before, they say that vice president choice doesn't win you the election, but it can lose you the election. Like, it's not necessarily the thing that makes or breaks a ticket. For me, it just gives an insight into the kind of administration or kind of campaign that is forming around Harris, which is pushing the envelope as hard as it can and basically looking for people to comply always.
And it's just vibe. It's like a whole feels and vibes campaign.
Well, there's no policies.
There's no policies. There's only identity and smiling and laughing and hating Donald Trump and and vibe. There's a lot of vibe.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.